Michigan can have done wrong and still have been wronged in this situation. Look, I don't care who you are, and I don't care what your reasoning is. If you're going to suspend the head coach of a national title contender, you absolutely should inform him of that before it goes public. What, are we kidding? Harbaugh found out from someone else's social media on the plane. From what I'm told, Ward Manuel was furious about that. You're the commissioner of the Big Ten. You don't call them and tell them this is the decision we have reached until it breaks? That's not accidental. If that's accidental, then you're the Keystone Cops. You leak that story before it gets to Harbaugh? There was not irreparable harm being done by allowing him to coach that game. If you couldn't make this decision by the end of Thursday, you should have made it Monday. The people you're going after there are the kids, because those players got to go out there and play without their coach, and they had no time to be prepared to do so. Whether they're right or wrong for suspending him is, to me, is a completely separate conversation. But as far as Michigan painting themselves with the victims here, you've made it incredibly easy for them to do. If you were in their shoes, you would feel persecuted too, for sure. Doesn't mean they don't deserve where this ultimately winds up. But if this wasn't a rush to judgment, if this wasn't Ohio State or whoever else it was saying, you got to make this call fast, otherwise terrible things can happen, the players are going to get hurt. They know our signals, the players are going to be injured. This is a player safety issue. Get out of here with that. This doesn't have anything to do with being a player safety issue. This has to do with Michigan violating rules, which I do not encourage or condone, and gaining an unfair advantage, and these schools not liking it, because Ohio State in particular got awfully used to kicking their behinds every single year, and all of a sudden they're getting theirs kicked in return, and they don't like it, and they put a lot of pressure on, and this decision got made much more quickly than it needed to be made. And the way they went about it, dumping the story late in the afternoon on a Friday and letting Harbaugh read about it on an airplane on social media, was the wrong way to do this, even if it was the right thing to do. That's what I think. Go.
I think you're right insofar as the Big Ten bungled the delivery. But to me, the thing that matters most here is what they delivered, the information, the discipline. The suspension that they levied, I do feel is and was appropriate. Even by the Big Ten's own admission, they had no reason to believe, or at least no evidence, that says Jim Harbaugh knew what was going on. But we know that the NCAA bylaws state that the head coach is ultimately responsible for what is happening. What happens on that field is sacred. The fact that Michigan was playing with an enormous advantage over a long period of time is such that I have no problem with them suspending him and doing so during the season because they had enough information. Did they fail in delivering that information properly? Sure. But ultimately, let's not lose track of the fact that, what matters here is that the coach got suspended. I don't care if he found out on an airplane, on a boat, in a car, on a train. It makes no difference to me, really. Did they mess it up? Sure. But to me, that's much less consequential than the heart of the story itself.
So if this had happened to a team you rooted for, lived and died with, would you not feel like they were being handled unfairly, that there was something premature about this, like the way it was handled felt vindictive, felt personal, felt aimed directly at them because you don't like them?
Yes, I would have felt every single one of those emotions. And if I were a player on Michigan, if I was a coach on Michigan, if I was a fan of Michigan, I would be reacting with the same venom, with the same vitriol that they have since Friday afternoon. This has become like a tribal partisan issue, it feels like. It's become that, unfortunately, but that's the world in which we live. That doesn't mean the Big Ten made the wrong decision. It means that human emotions are gonna react, behave in such a way when a person or a group of people feel like they've been targeted. In this case, unfairly so. Like you said on Friday, no matter what decision he makes, at least half the people are not going to like it.
Right.
And that's what happened.
Right. And I'm not one of those half. Based on the information I think I have, and I fully accept that Tony Petitti has information I don't have access to, I would say this probably it would be appropriate that this wound up in some sort of suspension and some sort of sanction for the program, for the university, for the head coach. All sounds good to me. It didn't have to happen Friday. This has been allegedly going on for years. It became absolutely critical that no matter what else happens, he didn't coach that game. The fate of civilization as we know it hinged on Harbaugh not being on that sideline that day. That just felt ridiculous to me.